guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk to you all about slice tools. Now, I'm sure you've all heard of them by now. Lots of artists are discovering them, and if you haven't, then you're missing out. You need these tools. Lots of people have been asking me, what are they, what do they do, and how do they work? So in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly that. So why are artists using these slice tools? I use them for highlights, I use them for like those little flyaway hairs, and I use them for whiskers and all like little intricate details that I need very fine, thin lines for. So I'm going to show you in this video how I use them. So here is a portrait I am currently working on. This is Benji. And you can see here he's got lots of highlights on his foreface and some highlights above here. So I did use my my pen tool to sort of create these little wispy bits of hairs coming up, and just to create a few extra highlights in his coat. So I'm just going to show you on some spare paper I have here. So the paper I'm using is the Fabriano Artistico hot press watercolour paper, and I'm using my the pencils that I always use, the Faber Castell Polychromos and Luminance and Pablos pencils. So first thing, when you are using your slice tools, you want to make sure that you've got lots of layers down on your paper, because otherwise your slice tool isn't going to have anything to remove from the paper. It's basically like using an eraser. So I'm just going to lay some pencil down, and I'm going to use Benji here as an example. So I'm going to lay down the colours that I've used on this so I can show you exactly how I created that shine with the slice tools. So I started with a cold grey, so I'm not going to actually draw Benji here, I'm just going to show you exactly how I layer the pencil and how I remove the highlights. So I'm using a light pressure with this cold grey 2. So I'm just doing sort of a rough version, just to show you the basics. So I'm going back and forth, and I'm sort of mimicking fur at the moment. So sort of making the fur direction go as if it was on his forehead. So after my cold grey, I then used a Pablos steel grey. So I'm just going to sort of follow that and lay it over the top. And I'm just going to focus more on the outer areas because he had sort of a lighter area in the middle. So in my portrait I did this a lot slower and sort of paid more attention to detail, but I just want to show you the basics of using these tools first. So then I used a cold grey 5 and I'm sort of mimicking hair strokes a bit more. Now I'm going to use a Payne's grey and still go over all these layers. Again, sort of mimicking the first strokes and watching the direction that I'm going in, making sure they follow in my previous pencil lines. And I'm going to go on and use a dark sepia for the darkest areas. Now I'm using a little more pressure. Now where I've come into the middle and it's more of a highlight, I'm going to go back to my steel grey and use a harder pressure and really sort of burnish these layers now. Get them really into the tusk of the paper. I think it's important to really blend your layers and get it into the tusk of the paper before using your slice tool. You want to make sure you've got a nice dense layer of pencils to work with first. I'm going to go back with a sepia and just darken out these areas. I'm going to use a black as well because I know I used some black in the really dark areas of his fur. I'm just going to go around the edges. So you can see by using this method I've already got a sort of fur texture going on. But if I want to really get some highlights now, I'm going to use the pen tool and I'm just going to use it lightly. You can see it's sort of lifting some of the pencil away. And I can use it for extra little highlights where the light is catching some of the fur. And once I've added in those, I like to blend it back into my work so it doesn't look too obvious and too of like a scratchy sort of look. So I'm going to use a light grey Pablo and I'm just going to go over those lines. Just like so, so they don't look too scratched or etched in. They sort of soften it back into the page then. So that is a very, very quick demonstration of how they work. I'm going to show you how they would work for flyaway hairs. So I'm just going to do another section here. So instead of doing fur texture, I'm just going to put a basic few layers down just to show you. So just put a layer down of cold grey. A layer down of Payne's grey. And a layer down of dark sepia. So I'm going to use the precision cutter now and show you how I do sort of flyaway hairs. So this one has got a very small blade compared to the pen tool. So you can see just, you can get really small little details. So say you had like little flicky flyaway hairs. You can see how it just lifts off some of that pencil. Now it's very important that you get all your layers down, because if I just do one layer of black here, just quickly like that, and now you try and use your slice tool, you can hear it's just scratching the paper. It's got nothing to actually lift off. It needs a thick layer of pencil to actually be able to bring it back off the page, because this pencil is just got like it's just one layer of pencil, so there's nothing for it to grip to. Whereas if I'm using it here, you can see it's really just taking off the top few layers of pencil. So another one would be whiskers. So if I do another, just another quick one by here. I'm still just using the same colours. I might do a demonstration with the other colours too. Usually I layer a lot neater than this, of course, but This is just for demonstration purposes. So say we wanted to do some whiskers now. You could either use the precision tool if you wanted really thin whiskers, so coming across like this, or if we had thicker whiskers we could use the pen tool. So you can see it's much thicker there, and you don't have to press hard down at all. You don't want to ruin the paper. This is using it quite lightly. And then you can go back over with a sharp pencil. So I'm using a sharp warm grey just for this. Go back over it just to sharpen it a little bit. There you go. So now I'm going to try out my new precision cutter and the new craft knife. So I'll try the precision cutter first because this is just a newer version of the older version that I have. So let's open it up. They're quite easy to open. And it comes with a little cap too, which is great. So this one's got sort of a different shape to it compared to my older precision tool, which sort of had a long barrel at the bottom, whereas this one is just more of a pen shape. But the blades look very similar, so I think they're still the same. This will focus. There we go. So you can see they both look very similar. So I think this one's going to work just as well. But this one feels a lot more lightweight compared to this one. This one's a little heavier. So let me just try it out. Yeah, it works just the same as my previous one. And you can see by here where it's taken some of that pencil pigment. So you can see that it's not scraping the paper, it is just taking some of the pencil away. So let's move on to the craft knife. I've never used the craft knives before, only the pen tool and precision tool. So it says on the back, longer lasting ceramic safety blade. Wait for the camera to focus. There we go. Never rust, stay sharp, non-conductive, chemically inert, non-magnetic, up to 11 times longer lasting than steel and safer than metal blades. It says it has a textured control grip, a never lost safety cap, which is brilliant for me. I'm forever losing lids to everything. A durable nylon handle, easy no tool blade change, and ideal for intricate shapes. So this little cap just slides over the top, which is great. So let's see how this one works. Let's open them up. This one feels a lot heavier than the precision tool, but it feels really nice to hold. So this just, how does it work? Oh, there we go. That is handy. So it just slides down and then you twist it to keep it in place. I like that. That is cool. That is very nifty. So let's just have a look at the blade. There you go. I think it's a different shape to my pen tool, but I still like how it has a curved edge, not a straight point at the end. So let's try it on the paper. So let's try this craft knife on some pencil, and I'm going to change it up and use some different colours this time. So I'm just going to put a layer down of warm grey. Let's think if I was working on a chestnut orangey kind of animal. So I'll put some warm grey down. You can see I'm going back and forth, so we need to have lots of layers. Let's go for Where's my burnt umber? Oh, hang on. We'll use some cinnamon and then some burnt umber. These are the colours I like to use in chestnuts. And we use the Pablo Hazel, which is very similar to the burnt umber Polychromos that I usually use. Just get a good few layers of this down. There we go, and then we shall use this craft knife. So I'm only going to use it lightly first. There you go, so you can get some really thin lines down there. And I'm going to see if I can, it's got quite a long blade here, so I'm going to see if I can get some thick lines. No, not too thick. So I don't think I'll be able to get very thick lines. But I can definitely get thin ones if I sort of tilt it forward. And then I can get thick ones if I use it more on the side and go over. So another one I've used slice tools for is detail on leather work. So if I just pretend I'm going to draw like a leather strap, and I'll show you how I do the details on there. So I'm just going to put, do it very, very roughly. So this is just a layer of coral grey 2. Just pretend this is like a thin leather strap. And then some Payne's grey. And then I'm doing some dark sepia. I'm just going to sharpen it. This is very, very roughly drawn, just for demonstration purposes. So I'm going to use the craft knife now. And you know, you get the very thin sort of highlight down the edge of leather. So you can see where I've added that in now. And then the same on the other side. So I'm just going over it very gently, and I'm not using much pressure at all. And then I'm going to use the precision tool. So that's got the very small blade. Just to add in, if I was going to do some like holes in the leather. So you know, you get the little highlight of the holes here. And then I usually use a black then to sort of sharpen up those little parts. And then if I use the warm grey, just to add in where I took off some of the pigment. So that's how I'd use a slice tool to make a leather strap as well. So that is it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed and it answered some of your questions. Just to recap, I showed you the Slice pen tool. This is the automatic retractable one, so when you let go it retracts. You can get the manual one which stays up. That one is orange, this one is green. I also showed you the two precision tools. This one's the older one and this one is the new one. They both come with caps, but I've lost the cap from this one, so the cap just pops off. These ones I recommend for the very small details like flyaway hairs or very just small intricate little details. I also showed you the craft knife, which has the cool cap that comes and covers your blade and you're not going to lose it, which is great for me. So this one and the pen tool I'd recommend for like the thicker highlights and some of the softer highlights, and then these ones for the thinner highlights. I'd recommend getting both of these. They work a little differently to each other, but they're both very good to use within your work. If you would like to try these products out, you can go to sliceproducts.com and you can get 10% off if you use my code Rhia10. If you have any questions on how to use the slice tools that I haven't covered in the video, just leave a comment down below and I will get back to you. If you like this video, please give me a like and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you enjoyed, thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!